They say that moving house is one of life's most stressful events. And yet, for many of the house hunters we've helped over the last 13 years, it's not just been a case of packing up boxes and moving on. They've been packing up entire lives and striking out for pastures new. Whether they were setting up in business or searching for peace in the countryside or by the sea, we've helped hundreds of people follow their dreams. And now we're going to catch up with a few of them and find out if their big moves paid off. This week we're in Leeds and London with two couples returning from globe-trotting adventures to lay down roots. It's one heck of a homecoming party.
I am thrilled that you're thrilled.
Full of laughter.
Starting to feel like a kebab.
With its fair share of tension.
What is going on?
And a dash of danger.
Ooh.
I thought this one would be safe. Although in the end, there's only one thing that really counts. What do you want to do today?
We'd like to buy a house.
Trying out a new life in foreign climes can prove all too tempting. Whether they've been living abroad or simply enjoying a global gallivant, some of our house hunters have travelled a very long way before finding their new home. But when the time does come for them to put down roots after a period abroad, the property market in Britain can make them feel like strangers in a foreign land. For the two sets of returning travellers we're catching up with this week, our job was to make sure their homecoming house hunt was a nice, gentle landing, rather than a painful crash back down to earth. Communications director Mike Scott and his wife Rosemary had just returned from 6 years of living abroad and wanted to find their first marital home. And young couple Mike Ritchie and Katie Roberts had spent 10 months seeing the world, 5 of which were on the road crammed in a camper van. Back in Blighty, Mike and Katie had found new jobs in Leeds, where they were looking to buy their first home together. But it's London where we'll begin, where Mike and Rosemary were aiming to settle. They'd set their hearts on a home in the leafy suburbs of North London, which combined villagey atmosphere with proximity to the city. But after 6 years abroad, this intrepid couple were finding readjusting to life back in the UK wasn't as simple as they'd expected.
We spent 3 years in Switzerland, travelled all around Europe, and then we moved to Sydney for 3 years.
We're new to London, and I feel as much of a stranger or a foreigner here as I would in any of the other places that we've lived in the last few years.
London can be an intimidating place, but the North London suburbs do provide sanctuaries of local charm and calm, away from the city's hustle and bustle.
Stroll down the street and within 10-15 minutes be able to go for a bit of breakfast, pick up the weekend paper.
Although Mike's keen on cafe culture, for Rosemary, her heart's clearly in the home, and she has a very set idea of what she wants.
There's living space that's close to, or you can go through to the kitchen dining area. We're looking to have a second bedroom for me to be able to have my little sewing machine so that I've got a little space that I can be creative as well.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but if we could find a place that has some room for maybe another half a person along the way, then that would be ideal.
They've exciting times ahead, but the North London market is as diverse as they come, offering buyers a whole host of options.
We haven't done house viewings before, so it'll be a good way to test what we think is important to us now, and we need the expert advice. We really don't know enough about London to do this on our own.
Each year, hundreds of thousands of people move to London, and Mike and Rosemary are two that have been wooed by the community feel and the great transport links they've found in the north of the city.
So I'll be searching in a few select parts of the area, all of which have good access to town and plenty to do on those lazy weekend mornings.
Who better to help these returning Poms than you, Pip?
Fair dinkum, Kirstie. Back in London? Yeah. Well, not back in London. You've never really been to London before. I can only imagine at this point you've no idea what kind of Londoner you're going to be.
No, that's true. London, I've always felt, is a city that has something for everyone. You've just got to figure out that area for yourself.
Yeah. The biggest decision you've taken so far in your lives is to get married, and that's the that's the biggest and the best one. This is the next biggest one, and it's tough, but it's made that much tougher in a city that you don't know, with slightly different perspectives on what you're looking for.
Yes.
Are you ready for that?
I think we are. We really do want our own home. And I think we'll be prepared to have that dialogue between us to see where our comfort zones are, you know?
With a budget of £400,000, Mike and Rosemary are after the quintessential English period property with 2 bedrooms as well as great entertaining space as an absolute must.
They want all this in an area with a villagey feel that also has good transport links into central London. A desire for local atmosphere whilst being close to the city centre is shared by our second couple, Mike and Katie in Leeds. Although 5 months away, cooped up in a camper van, has some people wondering whether they still want a place together at all.
Well, first thing my dad asked us when we got back was, are you still together? Because I think if we could survive that, like, we can survive anything.
New jobs have brought them from York to Leeds. Katie with the probation service and Mike at a video production house. And having raised enough cash for a deposit, this once footloose and fancy-free pair are ready to put down some roots. They've been renting in the suburb of Meanwood and are keen to stay in the area, within walking distance of shops and bars and with the bright lights of the big city not too far away.
We want to make sure we find a balance, you know, somewhere where we can get the best of both worlds and not completely give up on our youth just yet.
Living in the back of a van to looking to buy a house, it's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum. But yeah, I think we're ready for that. I think it's time to sort of grow up a little bit and get that sorted.
Real life now.
Real life means thinking ahead, and they want a house big enough to accommodate their 5-year plan for a family. But just when I thought I had a pair with their priorities right, turns out they've just bought a brand new car.
We've said when we buy a house, we are definitely having a drive. Yeah. As a treat.
A chocolate bar is a treat. A driveway is a luxury they may not be able to afford.
So, essentially, you are already in my bad books.
Why?
A new car? A new car?
Yeah.
Before the house hunt? Which is so precious that we must have off-street parking.
It's a practical thing as well with a drive. It's not just we want to protect our precious car.
We will bear that in mind. So your budget?
Yeah. 147.
147 is your top.
Yeah.
Yes, so we don't really want to necessarily push to 147.
Yeah, ideally a bit below with
below.
sort of...
Development
room to
opportunities.
spend a bit of money on the property would be awesome.
When it comes to development opportunities, how up for that are you?
We don't want to spend 5 years doing the house up and then move out after 5 years. We want to spend maybe 2 years or so.
Yeah,
So
and then
nothing
enjoy
too
it.
kind of major.
You want to just make sure that the house you buy, although on paper it's for a 5-year plan, and you want something more grown up and bigger and better, which we all do, it would be also nice if that house had the ability to keep you safe and comfortable in the long run, just in case anything happened.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, we hadn't actually thought about that, had we? Does that mean we have to look at like schools and stuff as well?
No, I
That's
swear,
what I didn't want it to.
no, I will not discuss catchment areas with you.
Thank
I
you.
promise.
Mike and Katie have a top budget of £147,000.
They want a 2 to 3 bedroom house with off-street parking and a decent entertaining-sized kitchen, or at least the potential to create it.
And they'd like to be within a 30-minute walk of the bars and buzz of Headingley or Chapel Allerton. Both areas are former villages now absorbed by Leeds suburban sprawl and increasingly popular. The average house price is over £170,000, so they're smart to opt for walking distance to them rather than being directly in them.
Walking distance to the local amenities is something most people look for in a home. But down in London, Mike and Rosemary also have to think about public transport links to the city and work. So I'm starting my search for their new home in the suburb of Archway. It may not have the cafes and restaurants thereafter, but if they want a base for exploring the city, then it doesn't get much better than this.
With excellent transport links, they could be in central London in just 20 minutes.
Now, I know that you guys have only just got off the plane, but I'm not going to kid you that Archway is an villagey location, because it's not.
Okay.
but I just wanted us to start here because it is surrounded by very nice villagey locations. Highgate, Crouch End.
Yeah.
But they are, of course, much more expensive than here.
All I can say right now is I'm starting to feel like a kebab.
You wanted cafe culture, Phil, not kebabs and curry.
Don't worry about me, Kirstie. The property I've got to show them is only 5 minutes away and couldn't feel more different. Located in the stunning Whitehall Park Conservation Area. So literally just a few minutes round the corner and you get this rather lovely street.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, we like the street, don't we?
Look, already this is a good start.
Good. And I think the property itself stacks up well too. This lower ground floor flat is bright and quiet. There are 2 bedrooms, a kitchen with separate utility room, and a great-sized private garden.
At just shy of £380,000, it sits comfortably within Mike and Rosemary's 400 grand budget.
Although we are lower ground, I don't think it feels
No.
lower ground.
It's a good size window as well, which makes the difference, I think.
Let's have a look round the kitchen. Knowing, Rosie, that you wanted a special kitchen, I was worried how you'd react to this, but I think a bit of money spent in here would make the world of difference.
Yeah, clever design, use the space well, use that space well.
Yeah.
OK.
Yeah.
Open mind. Have a look round the bedrooms, both of them. Enjoying the views of the garden. Help yourself.
OK,
Great.
thanks.
It's actually going really well in there. But then the thing is, they've got nothing to compare it to at this stage. And I'm worried that the more we see, the more confused they're going to get. So maybe we should just quit while we're ahead. They should take this one. Happy days.
I think it's a bit of a compromise.
It obviously needs...
A bit of love and attention.
Yeah, a bit of TLC.
You spoke too soon there, Phil.
How'd you get on?
I like the layout, and that was something for me that is important, the flow of the property.
Yeah.
But I think the living space might just be that tiny bit too small for us, long term.
It still surprises me when we walk into London properties to see what kind of size is available.
Or not available. Yes, yes.
The realities are kicking in, and I fear there could be more surprises to come.
Yes, when it comes to house hunting, London is like another country. I just hope globetrotters Mike and Rosemary come to terms with it as comfortably as they did the rest of the world. We're catching up with 2 couples who came to us for help looking for new homes after stints away seeing the world. After 6 years of living abroad, Mike and Rosemary Scott were keen to settle down in North London. We'd shown them a 2-bed conversion in the suburb of Archway, although seeing how far their money might stretch in a desirable part of the capital was a shock to the system.
It still surprises me when we walk into London properties to see what kind of size is available.
Up in Leeds, Mike and Katie were coming home after 5 months away in a camper van together. They had a budget of £147,000 and were determined to find somewhere with a drive for their new car. It's never a good idea to let your vehicle influence your house hunting. Perhaps it was all that time spent in the camper van.
Today, I'm taking them just beyond the borders of their preferred patch to Kirkstall, where their budget of £147,000 goes further.
The average price for a terraced house here is just under £120,000.
It's stretching their boundaries, but this sociable pair want a house with a kitchen big enough to cook and entertain in. Our first property is the best example of that we could find. The compromise, yep, you guessed it, not a driveway in sight. I'm totally listening to what you're saying about off-street parking. Despite my things about the car, I'm not ignoring it. But this is, you can park outside your front door and you can do it safely.
I think it's hard to tell in the middle of the day. It's the sort of thing where I'd come back in the evening and just see how it is.
No. Yeah.
Nice manoeuvre. At least they didn't do a complete U-turn.
I'm hoping this 4-level terraced house will impress them with its walk-in wow factor and spaciousness. We've heard it was once owned by architects, which could explain the clever conversion of the cellar into a kitchen diner.
Terraces this side often have 3 bedrooms, but here there are 2 large ones. The whole house has been done to a very high spec, and it's under budget at just under £145,000.
Is this house an interesting beginning or a possible contender?
I think it's tricky because we haven't seen any terrace houses. We hadn't really thought about them because of the off-street parking situation.
Right.
It's annoying because we've not researched terraces, have we?
As first-time buyers, these two really have been approaching things the wrong way, and that means they've disregarded around half of the property stock in their area.
What I cannot believe is that they never considered a terraced house because of the off-street parking. Ta-da! The only reason to veto a property is because of location.
Terraced properties have enormous benefits. An English Heritage report found that over a period of 30 years, the repairs on a Victorian terraced house could cost 60% less than building and maintaining a new one.
You're also well insulated thanks to houses either side, and the square footage is often generous.
This property has 930 square feet, heaps of room to cook for friends.
Gas hobs.
Gas hobs.
Score.
They're definitely cooking on gas in the kitchen, but what did they think overall?
For me, showing us this has made me rethink the parking, which we've not done yet.
Fantastic inside. I kind of think if there was a house that wasn't quite as nice that we could do up, that might be a better thing.
Okay, then.
Well done, Kirstie. The driveway seems to have lost top spot on the wish list.
Quite right too.
Yes, when you've got two people's needs to consider, the last thing you want to be worrying about is how your car might feel about a prospective move. At least in London, where public transport's so good, parking doesn't even figure in Mike and Rosemary's thinking. For their second viewing, I'm taking them to Muswell Hill, one of the best examples of a suburb with those village vibes that London offers, with plenty of places for morning coffee all within minutes of the front door.
We've spent some time having a look around and it seems to offer what we're looking for.
This first floor period flat comes with 2 bright bedrooms and a fantastic living room. But I'm hoping the grandeur of the property will make up for the small kitchen and lack of outside space.
Despite the compromises, the property is still right at the top of their budget at £400,000.
It's got quite a grand feeling, this flat.
Yeah, it feels light and spacious, even though this is it's a small corridor, but it feels big.
It's got something. Yeah. First impressions count. Come on in this way.
Okay.
It's quite,
Wow.
I think, a rather lovely room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it feels...
That is quite a hard thing to put into words.
Yeah.
So many people that Kirstie and I work with say, I'm looking for the feeling.
Yeah.
I go, well, tell me what the feeling is. I don't know. Well, let's continue.
You're developing a feeling for this house hunting lark, Phil.
And I've got some plans to make the flat completely future-proof. Longer term, I think there is an opportunity to perhaps move the kitchen and extend up into the loft.
If we had that opportunity to think about how we might extend the property in other ways, actually sounds really interesting for me.
With the flat already at the top of their budget, any work they wanted to do would be a job for the future.
I could see us coming home from work, I could see us having people round, I could see us living in this space.
Saying all the right things, but are they feeling them? I just don't know. Not yet.
It's a different flow, but there's nothing about it that really bothers me right now.
Hardly a ringing endorsement. I need to get to the bottom of this if I'm to stand any chance of finding them their new home. You've actually been very positive about all the places, and I'm struggling to know where to go from here. Are you telling me the real story?
I do have a good feel about this property, but I think I'm holding back a tiny bit because for me, I would like to have our own little outside space.
Fine. Good plan.
Great.
I'm right with you. Okay, let's go and do that. To have a garden in this neck of the woods would cost them around an extra 25 grand. I hope they're ready for a few more compromises. Returning from abroad to look for a house is often full of surprises. Nearly 5 million Brits live overseas, with around 70,000 of them returning to the UK every year. After getting used to the costs of living abroad, property prices back home can come as a shock. In fact, due to the unique nature of the UK housing market, when house prices are compared to salaries,
UK property is estimated to be overpriced by more than 20% compared to global averages. So if you're thinking of being away for an extended period, keep some financial links to the UK, such as a bank account. Because if you can't establish a UK credit history, obtaining a mortgage can be tricky. In Leeds, Mike and Katie have been away less than a year, so luckily don't have issues with credit history. So it's on to our second house to see if we can find a home to match their money. We've come to Meanwood, much closer to their favourite watering holes.
Mike and Katie rent in Meanwood, but this is a part they're unfamiliar with.
Yeah, we drove past a sign that did say about criminal activity nearby, so that sort of worries us to start with, but, you know, keep an open mind.
Never fear, Phil is here.
You want to know whether this is a good street or a bad street? Just look up there. Tell me one thing. Do crims trim hedges?
No.
No.
Maybe that's what they want you to think.
Well-kept gardens are an encouraging sign, and if they're on board with the Kirstie maxim, crims don't trim. This house offers Katie and Mike all they asked for and more. We're talking garage, even a games room, and a garden of rather grand designs.
This could be a no-brainer, and there's my kind of room for improvement.
Now, this is the wall that I would knock down.
OK.
Yeah. So that this is your kitchen diner.
True to form, Kirstie, but yes, that would create the entertaining-sized kitchen space thereafter.
Apart from the kitchen, this 3-bed semi only needs cosmetic updating and a touch of TLC. There's money in the pot for that. The asking price is £125,000.
I'm excited about designing this kitchen now.
Yeah, I like the idea that you can do work to it and make it ours.
I also think you'd be enhancing the value.
Yes,
because
That's a big,
families want big family kitchens. When this house was built, this is how they like to live.
Yeah.
We've changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's a big
wife
bonus.
doesn't stay at home, cook, and put the dinner on the table at 5:30 anymore.
Sadly
Yeah,
not.
tell me about it.
I think you two better beat a retreat before you dig yourselves any deeper.
Merely jesting, Kirstie, but I do want a chance to check in with Mike. It's quite a transition from being carefree in a camper van to finding a future home.
And how are you dealing with the whole sort of concept of choosing a house?
Thinking about this is our sort of 5-year house, you've got to think about things that are going to happen in sort of 3, 4, 5 years, which is kind of scary. It's sort of thinking about maybe having kids and how they would work in the house as well.
And this is a long-term decision.
Absolutely.
You've no idea how the next 5 years are going to pan out for you guys.
No.
In the current economic climate, especially if you're buying for the first time, it's sensible to aim for a future-proof home.
Sometimes we forget how difficult it is for these young first-time buyers to navigate this. Actually, everybody needs a helping hand. I wish I could split myself in a million.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh!
Several million of you isn't enough to scare anybody.
Is that a hole-in-one?
Oh, that's golf, darling.
Oh, right, OK.
Never mind, you may not know the lingo, but to be fair, Mike and Katie did need your help to queue up this particular pocket in Meanwood.
I think we might have discounted this area completely in our search.
Yeah.
And now I'm here. I don't know why. Because it's nice.
In terms of space and what's there of the house, it's spot on.
Spot on, yeah.
Terrific. Excellent. I'm delighted.
What's got into you all of a
I'm
sudden?
feeling very chipper at the moment.
You're looking very chipper.
Don't encourage him. Oh, Gordon Bennett, all we need is a chipper pip.
A good mood for a good reason, though, Kirstie, because who knows, we might just have found Mike and Katie's new home. It's happy homecoming time, hopefully, as we catch up with 2 sets of house hunters looking for properties after returning from global travels. For Mike and Katie, their point of arrival was Leeds, and the 3-bed semi we found them in the suburb of Meanwood looked to be ticking all the right boxes.
In terms of space and what's there of the house, it's spot on.
Yeah.
In North London, the period flat in Muswell Hill was definitely the front runner so far for ex-expats Mike and Rosemary, although its lack of outside space was a bit of a turn-off. Hopefully, the third house we lined up for them would press all the right buttons.
It's in Crouch End and not on the borders, virtually on the Broadway. Just 5 minutes from the flat are all the swanky bars and cafes that'll suit Mike and Rosemary's new London lifestyle.
We're really impressed. It's an incredible location.
Let's go on in.
It may be a stunning location, but we've had to compromise on the period charm. Built 5 years ago, this 2-bed Muse flat has a superb open-plan entertaining area, as well as that all-important outside space. Well, a little bit at least.
It's on the market at £375,000, comfortably within Mike and Rosemary's £400 budget.
I have to say as well, we talked before about putting the kitchen and the living room space together, and this is the first place that we've really had that. We like to cook, we like to have people over at the same time, so it's nice to actually have all that in one place.
Yeah. It has a nice feel to it.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
All right.
Well, Kirstie's getting the feeling, but is she the only one?
This property is a fantastic location. It would give us the lifestyle that we want, but it doesn't have that feel to it. Like the last property in particular, it doesn't have that feel.
But the last property, you would need to have a 10, 15-minute walk to the lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Let's see what Rose thinks.
Great.
Mike may have loved the character of the Muswell Hill property, but he's definitely drawn to the location of this one. It's time to see which is more important to Rosemary.
We want to really settle in London, and for us a big part of that is having our own place and having our own community to get to know. So that decision's been made, and so really it's just thinking if the property, ticks the majority of the boxes at the moment.
Very sensible. How many things have you seen?
This is the 4th one ever.
Oh, deep breath.
Be an easy place to move into, wouldn't it? It would be easy.
Very open and social, and I think that's really going to suit what we'll be doing for this short to mid-term, really.
Oh, buongiorno, help me up.
Old lady.
I am a very old lady.
They're very confused. They're saying all the right things. Can I expect them to make a decision? They've only just got off the plane.
Well, Rosemary was sounding very positive about this location and the practicalities of this flat.
To be honest, they've been positive about most things.
It doesn't have much character, though, does that?
No, and I'm sort of toying that up, but it feels like a blank canvas if, because it's newer.
Well, in the failing light at the end of the day now, but how did we do with that?
Good, I think.
Liked it?
Yeah, the location makes it really tempting.
Right, I can leave you in safe hands.
You can. In fact, we never needed you to start with, but it was nice of you to come along and help.
So nice to be wanted.
So despite the flat's lack of period charm, it looks like Mike and Rosemary are both tempted by this exceptional location. And in Leeds, there's consensus too, as Mike and Katie have already seen something in Meanwood that's tickled both their fancies. But never ones to rest on our laurels, we've found them a third property to view in their favourite area of all.
They love Chapel Allerton, and although the kind of property they're after is generally more expensive in this neck of the woods, I've managed to find a ray of hope in this 1930s Edwardian-influenced home.
On this lovely day, we have a little sparkling gem. And the look of the house, what you can see over the hedge?
Nice, yeah?
Cute, yeah. I really like the street.
Yeah, it's a lovely street.
Yeah.
Got a driveway as well, so...
In my opinion, that's completely irrelevant.
Yes, there is off-street parking for the precious car, but we find homes for people, not cars, and if they're as keen on a project as they say they are, they could score themselves a diamond in the rough here.
The downside is there's no longer a kitchen in place due to a burst boiler, but they could start from scratch and create the dining-sized kitchen thereafter.
A deceased estate, the house is on the market for £140,000, £7,000 under budget. Do you think you're equal to the task?
I think we're going to need a lot of help,
Yeah.
but we've got people who are willing to do that.
What a fun thing to do, what a good thing to achieve after 2 or 3 years and go, look what we've done. That really excites me, yeah.
I have to say, I am thrilled that you're thrilled. Go and have a look upstairs, see what you think of the bedrooms. Cool. I'm going to sit in the sun.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit.
Sit in the sun? You are feeling confident. If they go for it, the challenge will be to knock down the price so they can afford to do the work.
On our side is the fact that it's a private sale we found through an online bulletin board, so the vendor's already saving on marketing fees.
Average fees in the UK are around 1.8% of the house price. So by not using an estate agent, they've potentially saved themselves over £2,500.
Deals can be had with private sales, so don't just rely on property websites, check out community bulletin boards too.
So how do you feel about the level of work we need to do?
It's just cosmetic, isn't it?
When you're thinking of taking on work, it is so important that you're both up for it. I'm shouting. This is a good, strong house, and it would be a good buy. But they need to be in it together.
It's so big, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's so grown up.
The last owner of this house lived here for over 50 years, and apart from the kitchen, it is in reasonable shape.
But they'll still need to spend every penny to bring it into the 21st century.
Contemplating the enormity of it.
It doesn't put me off.
I know.
One bit.
It's not you I'm worried about. I think you're being really, really up for it. I get a slight sense that Katie's a bit nervous.
I think she's up for it as well. Like, from the beginning, we've said we want a project. No, I'm really excited. Really excited.
I'm excited.
Good job, Kirstie.
If you buy this house, I'm doing the revisit.
Even if you're gung-ho about creating your ideal family home, do your homework so you don't over-capitalise. Check out what the done-up houses in the area have achieved price-wise and scale your plans accordingly.
It's a big step forward for my pair, but I think they can see there's a massive window of opportunity with this house.
Would it be jumping to conclusions to say that you might want to come back and see this property?
I think definitely we'd like to look at it in more detail, yeah. Brilliant.
Happy days.
Good job.
We found a house.
No doubt which house is the front runner for Mike and Katie then. And the good times are rolling back in London too, where Mike and Rosemary are in that pleasurable place of having seen two very different properties that both seem to fit their bill. First, the modern mews in Crouch End, and second, the period flat in Muswell Hill. Time for some decision-making.
So what do you want to do today?
We'd like to buy a house.
Oh, well.
Straight on that.
Which one?
Well, we're in Crouch End, and I think we feel that that property, although it doesn't have the character that some of the other places have that we've seen, it's got everything else. It would give us the lifestyle that we want for the next few years.
Very, very pleased. Well, let's get ourselves back then.
All right.
Let's go. Cool.
Having rented their way across the globe, Mike and Rosemary need to fall in love with the area if they're to call it home.
I think getting around Crouch End and walking here, seeing the link between here and the town and everything the town's got to offer, it's a nice feeling as well.
You'll be out for breakfast every day, I reckon. Listen, I'm not going to come in and hassle you. I think you need a bit of time to yourselves.
After days of being painfully polite and saying all the right things, I want to give them some space to really figure out if this could be their new home.
Mike is feeling the location, but at £375,000, he needs to feel the flat.
How are we going to actually organise our furniture in here?
Well, I
How can you
think
see it?
the width of this hallway means, like they have, you could easily put one of our bookcases on this wall here.
Yes. Yeah, all right.
As well as figuring out how the space could work for you, second viewings are all about visualising how you'd put your mark on the place.
I know this only has a tiny patio, but you know, you could do a really nice mural on those walls and make it an attractive space as well.
Pick a bike, anyone's a winner. Ooh. I thought this one would be safe. I'm hoping that in the flat they're having moments of clarity. I think we've been through the confusion and they've come out this morning and they're full of excitement about this place. I'll be amazed. But I might pull this off. I might just.
When we saw that first property, we felt the second bedroom was a compromise. This isn't. This is a good-sized space. It will give us the space that we need to be able to do things in the interim.
Having seen the best of what the market has to offer, the prospect of having cafes and bars on their doorstep has made them decide what sort of Londoners they want to become.
It felt even better than the first time, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Good. Well, what say we go and get a drink, talk about what you want to do?
Sounds good.
While the cogs are turning in London, up in Leeds, Katie and Mike are reaching decision time too. As they explore the neighbourhood around the doer-upper, we found them in Chapel Allerton, Kirstie's calling in some building expertise. Paul Spencer, no relation, is here to assess the cost of making the place habitable by reinstating a kitchen and creating a good entertaining space by knocking through to the dining room.
I know they love the idea of this house, but the reality of it has to be faced.
My budget for doing the whole of that work was probably a little bit higher than you think, but maybe 7 for a new kitchen of reasonable quality.
£7,000 would be doable within their budget, but to err on the side of caution and to cover a new boiler and possible rewiring, best to allow £10,000.
It's just a case of us talking about what we can live with for a bit and what we need to do now.
Paul estimates the basic building work could be done within 2 weeks, which is good news as the mortgage company would want to know it was being made habitable as soon as possible, or they might consider it a high-risk loan and only release money in stages. And when it does come to knocking down walls and updating, bear in mind the value of retaining any original features.
If someone takes that out sympathetically, you can put it somewhere else, because it's absolutely charming. And I'm telling you this now, 16 years of house hunting experience, this is the kind of thing that sells a house.
Yeah.
Kirstie's sold on the place, but for Katie and Mike to commit to buying, the price has to be right.
Let's go and talk tactics.
Well, things look to be hotting up at both ends of the north-south divide. Could it be our couples are closing in on their dream?
We've been revisiting some of the house hunters that we've helped over the last 13 years. This week, we're catching up with 2 couples who are returning from globe-trotting adventures to find a place to settle down and call home.
In Leeds, Mike and Katie saw the potential in taking on a project in the suburb of Chapel Allerton. But would they take the next step and make the house their new home? Lucky for them, they had the impeccable advice of Muswell to guide them.
They have $147,000 to spend and the asking price on their semi-detached house is $140,000. But we also need to factor in the cost of a new kitchen.
I think we can get it for $130,000. What are your feelings about that?
It's the only house we've ever liked that we could actually afford. So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, do it. Do it, absolutely.
It's a private sale and a deceased estate, and I'm dealing with the wife of one of the inheritors.
Tammy, hi, it's Kirstie. Katie might want the house. They really love the house. They're completely okay with the house as it is. They don't want you to do anything more to it. If you were able to accept an offer of $130,000, they would take the house completely as it is, 100%.
But what you have to remember in the house hunting game is to expect the unexpected.
Yes, yes. Right. Yes, Tammy, that would be great. I'll do that. Thanks so much. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bye. What is going on at the moment? This is fine. This is okay. We're not going to lose the house.
I'm terrified right now.
But the neighbour opposite, as Tammy came out the house this afternoon, having locked up after we went round, made an offer on it.
Oh, man.
How much?
A bit more than we've just offered.
But Tammy met Mike and Katie earlier and liked them both. She felt they'd be sympathetic to the period features, but she needs to discuss it overnight with her husband.
We'll just have to do this and touch this.
It's going to be a long night.
It's a game of patience now for Katie and Mike.
And it's reaching crunch time in London for Mike and Rosemary, who appear to be honing in on the fantastically positioned 2-bed flat in Crouch End. We've retired to the operations centre, aka the local pub, to plan our next move.
It's not just about living in the property, it's about everything that the area gives us. Once we move in, we'll make something our home.
Yep.
But the other things, the access to the village, to the town, you know, we can't alter that.
It all sounds very positive, but what do you want to do from here?
I think we'd like to make an offer.
Okay.
I would like to make an offer.
We need confident decisions here, Mike. Fantastic,
Yeah.
great. Over to me then.
The property had previously been under offer at the full asking price of 375 grand. That offer subsequently fell through, but the vendors have now found somewhere else. So I think a low bid might just work.
Why don't we go 362?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we've got a bit of room.
Yeah.
All right,
Sounds good.
let's do it.
It's Phil here, Daniel. How are you doing?
Our initial offer of 362 is swiftly rejected. So we've crept it up to 365 and are waiting for the vendor's response. We don't have to wait very long.
Hi, Daniel. What news? Yeah. Yep. Send us the contract, we'll deal with it, and we'll have it done in a month. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Well done, well done. Way to go! I don't believe it!
That's incredible. Right, cheers.
I can't even speak. That's like better than me.
We could have hoped for, isn't it?
Definitely.
That's incredible.
Great news for Mike and Rosemary, and 10 grand below the asking price.
And the great news just keeps on coming. In Leeds, after an agonising weekend wait, Mike and Katie's offer of 130,000 was finally accepted. Looks like having met the vendor and gained their trust paid off.
It was amazing, and it was a big journey we were about to embark on.
The house is full of like old furniture, old beds, old microwaves, so a lot of that needs to go.
They're the perfect pair to get stuck in and transform this house into a home.
I think by the time we can actually sit back and go, wow, it's finished, we'll have like a screaming baby and all loads of other stuff going on. I don't think we're ever going to relax again, are we? This is just our life now. But that's a really good thing. Sorry.
Brilliant.
Don't look so worried, Mike. I'm sure there'll be just as many happy times as nappy times. And it's also been a happy beginning for Mike and Rosemary over in Crouch End.
We picked up the keys yesterday, and then today all of our stuff has come off the boat, off the back of the lorry. We're thrilled to be opening all our stuff up today and seeing all these possessions that we've not seen for so long.
I'm looking forward to making it home.
And they've no regrets about choosing area over character.
So we feel already safe and a sense of community here, and I think that was what we were really looking for. This flat gives us everything that we wanted for the lifestyle that we'd like to have now.
Quite an achievement, Pip. New to London, only 4 properties seen, but one very content couple.
Phil's really spoilt us now for house hunting. It's been such a smooth process. I don't think we'd want to do it on our own ever again.
You're a smooth operator, Mr. Spencer.
I aim to please.
1 year on, and Mike and Katie's epic renovation project in Leeds is complete. And I'm delighted to report that at Christmas time on a trip to New York, they got engaged. So it looks like that lovely family home might come in useful very soon indeed.
And for Mike and Rosemary in Crouch End, saying goodbye to their world-wandering ways seems to have been everything they were hoping for as well.
Coming back to the UK for us is really about connecting again with friends and family that we'd left behind when we've been on our adventures. We've been travelling, I think, just over 6 years and out of the UK in one solid block, and we'd been travelling before that as well. So we've never really felt that we'd ever had an opportunity to settle anywhere.
I feel much more relaxed now. We don't feel like we've got this time pressure on us anymore.
The neighbourhood they've moved to offers that lovely local feel, despite being part of the capital.
I love Crouch End. I think we both do.
Moving to Crouch End has really given us that sense of community, certainly the coffee shops. And the one in particular on the corner that I go to pretty much every morning for a sneaky cappuccino.
In the flat itself, they've really put their own stamp on it in a very short space of time.
This is the first home we've ever owned, so there's been a lot to learn in terms of looking after it, maintaining it, and also making it our own.
We don't sit still for long, so some first things we did was put in some more lights in the living room so that I could have more light when I'm crafting on the dining table. And then we painted each of the bedrooms, didn't we? Yes. We did that quite early on.
And it's not just the inside they've been working on.
The patio is small, But I did spend quite a lot of time on it when we first moved in. I cleaned the deck and painted the wall.
And I think we've done what we can to try and rebuild a garden of sorts in the space that we've got as well.
Yeah,
So.
but we've managed barbecues out there, we've managed to have people round, and it's a great spot in the afternoon to sit when it's really sunny and read a magazine.
And it's actually one of the things we did very, very early on. We managed to get my 93-year-old grandfather down for a cup of tea and a bit of a barbecue in the back garden, didn't we, or in the patio. So in the end, although it's not a huge space, it's still been a space that we've managed to create some nice memories in.
By the looks of things, it's not just Mike and Rosemary who are lapping up this outside space.
Part of setting up home was also getting a cat, and Jack's been a great little addition to the place. It makes it feel a bit more complete that there's someone to come home to when Mike's travelling, which is nice for me. So yeah, it's been good fun.
So is the pitter-patter of tiny paws going to be joined by the pitter-patter of tiny feet?
We did say we wanted a place that could maybe sustain, like, potentially having a first child. We've not got any immediate plans, but it's been nice to make a home and to be able to know that that's a possibility in the future if we decide to do that. So it's been a really nice experience to feel secure in that way that it's definitely an option.
For Mike and Rosemary, the nomadic lifestyle abroad has clearly been replaced by the homely lifestyle in Crouch End. And for Mike and Katie, the rewards of renovation in Chapel Allerton have been the perfect cure for their wanderlust. And as for Kirstie and me, quite fancy a holiday, actually.